Wednesday, Scott Bolden, when you stop talking, it's the show Open Tease. Be quiet. Today's Wednesday, July 17, 2019. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Today's the 5th anniversary of Eric Garner's death at the hands of NYPD cops. We'll talk to his mother, Gwen Carr, exclusively right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. The House held a vote on an impeachment of Donald Trump today, but it was voted down. Democrats did not go along with Congressman Al Green. No shock there. We'll tell you about that. Also, a Philadelphia district attorney has asked the Pennsylvania Supreme Court to declare the death penalty unconstitutional. New York follows California's role in banning hair discrimination in New York State. Also, the Emmy nominations are in, and there's a decline in diversity and inclusion. No shock there. And yes, another edition of Crazy Ass White People. You know you can't wait for that one. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go. Folks, the House voted down an impeachment resolution today introduced by Congressman Al Green of Houston. He wanted to begin impeachment proceedings against Donald Trump. He has certainly earned it, but Speaker Nancy Pelosi, she has been arguing for them to take this very slow. It's been a contentious several weeks since, of course, Bob Mueller released his report laying out potential obstruction of justice by Donald Trump. He left it up to Congress to make the determination. He said he could not do so because of this silly memo written during the Nixon administration saying that the president cannot actually be indicted, which is actually BS if you say that somehow he's above the law. Let's talk about this right now with Mike Brown, former DNC Finance Chair Committee, former Vice Chair, DNC Finance Committee, and also A. Scott Bolden, Aloysius Scott Bolden, former Chair, National Bar Association, PAC.
I was joking about that.
Is that what the A stands for?
My name is A. Scott Bolden. Just call me Scott, sir.
What does the A stand for?
Alan, A-L-A-N.
You lying. It stands for Aloysius. Don't even front. That's what it stands for.
I'll be watching from above. Don't do that.
And from above, she's gonna lay hands on you as well, but disrespecting me. All right, let's get right to it. It's no shock, Michael, that this has failed. Pelosi, she always had the votes, but what she is dealing with is a very, very unsettled, angry constituency on the left who wants this man held accountable. He has ordered his folks to ignore subpoenas from this administration. They will not testify. Even folks who no longer even work for the White House, they're claiming blanket immunity on everything. At what point, though, does Nancy Pelosi have to do something? And the strategy is, well, hopefully the courts will agree with us on this. But again, when you got a restless body of people, they're not going to make it easy.
You know, as you and I have talked about it, you know, I'm a loyal soldier of Speaker Pelosi. But on this one, I think she may be miscalculating. I think you need to get this impeachment thing done and move on and get back to legislating. We know what the Senate's going to do. So what if he's going to come out and say that he was exonerated? He will have the label of impeachment on his name going up through the election. So from my standpoint, get this impeachment thing over with, let the Senate exonerate, and then get back to worrying about prescription drugs, worrying about 2020, health care, and keep it moving. But right now, I think it's wasting. He's frankly winning. You know, I don't like saying his name, 45. The longer this takes, whether it's court battles, them not showing up for hearings, time is ticking, time is ticking. Then it'll be too late to start an impeachment battle.
Here's what I think she's doing, Scott. Aloysius. I think what she's doing, I think Democrats, first of all, let's just start for this premise. Democrats do not play to win. they play to compete. Republicans play to win. Even if that means if you're in a fist fight, they'll pick up a branch or a 2x4 or a crowbar, hit you in the head with it. They don't care. And then they won't even apologize later. They'll say, tough, you should have grabbed it before we did. I think Nancy Pelosi is spooked by the impeachment of Bill Clinton. I think what she is saying, she saw the popularity of Bill Clinton after he got impeached, how the Senate did not convict, and her deal is like, why do it if they won't convict? But here's the problem with that. Tomorrow, they're likely going to take a vote on the minimum wage, guaranteeing the federal minimum wage at $15 an hour. Mitch McConnell is not going to bring it up. So when you try to make the argument that, well, there's no sense in doing this if the Senate won't convict, but you're passing bills they won't even vote on. So you're actually doing counter to what your argument is on impeachment.
Can somebody give a standing ovation to Congressman Al Green? If somebody's listening out here, have his money people send me a card or something so I can make a contribution to him.
You ain't even made a contribution to this show, and you've been on it since we started. See, there you go right there. All right. Trust me. Al Green, don't wait.
Let me tell you something.
Al Green, don't wait on his contribution. It's going to be a while.
I'm with you, Al Green. Trust me, because you got heart.
Okay, I'm going to text him right now and tell him.
Urgency of this. You tell him. He understands the urgency of the moment, that this strategy of hanging back and counting votes, and if you can't get a conviction, then you don't move forward on the constitutional requirement that you move forward. I'll tell you something else it does. It makes the Democrats look confused, and they are confused, because when you put your finger up in the political winds and say, can I get a conviction or not, then you're not being loyal to the obvious. You're not being loyal to someone that is a racist, someone who has obstructed justice in the Mueller report, and someone who has defied subpoenas on the House and Senate side. And so as a result, what is Congress's role in all of this? What is Pelosi's leadership in all of this? Because you're right. They're doing the same thing on substantive legislation, and it's not getting passed. And I got to tell you,
not even getting passed. He's not even bringing it to the floor.
Exactly.
He won't even consider it. It's kind of like they're just passing stuff. He's kind of like, yeah, okay, holler at me when y'all done.
At least we would be unified. At least the proceedings leading up to 2020, we would televise the power of the allegations, the high crimes and misdemeanors, and we would educate the public in a unified fashion. When I travel the country, and you tell me whether this is true for you too, when I talk to Democrats, whether it's socially or at a forum, what have you, the number one question they ask me is, what are we doing, Scott? What is our position? We talk about this unity and diversity, but we seem real confused on a real simple issue called Donald Trump. Where are we going? What are we going to do? What is expected of us as voters? You get that too? Because I get it all the time.
This is what Al Green had to say today on the floor of the U.S. House before the vote was taken. Go to my iPad.
Follows. Impeaching Donald John Trump, President of the United States, of high misdemeanors. Resolved that Donald John Trump, President of the United States, is unfit to be president, unfit to represent the American values of decency and morality, respectability and civility, honesty and propriety, reputability and integrity, is unfit to defend the ideals that have made America great, unfit to defend liberty and justice for all, as extolled in the Pledge of Allegiance, is unfit to defend the American ideal of all persons being created equal, as exalted in the Declaration of Independence, is unfit to ensure domestic tranquility, promote the general welfare, and to ensure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, as lauded in the preamble of the United States Constitution, is unfit to protect government of the people, by the people, for the people, as elucidated in the Gettysburg Address, and is impeached for high misdemeanors that the following article of impeachment be exhibited to the Senate. Article of impeachment exhibited by the House of Representatives of the United States. In the name of itself, of the people of the United States, against Donald John Trump, President of the United States, in maintenance and support of its impeachment against him for high misdemeanors committed as President, constituting harm to American society, to the manifest injury of the people of the United States. Article 1. The House of Representatives on July 16, 2019, strongly condemned President Donald Trump's racist comments that have legitimized and increased fear and hatred of new Americans and people of color by saying that our fellow Americans who are immigrants and those who may look to the president like immigrants should go back to other countries, by referring to immigrants and asylum seekers as invaders, and by saying that members of Congress who are immigrants or those of our colleagues who are wrongly assumed to be immigrants do not belong in Congress or in the United States of America. In all of this, the aforementioned Donald John Trump.
Well, Monique Presley, principal Presley Law Firm. So Pelosi has a strategy. The vote was 332 to 95. And they had to act within 2 days of him filing the resolution, based upon the rules and procedures. Do you agree that what Pelosi is doing, taking this thing very slowly, is the appropriate task? Does it make Trump look emboldened, look stronger by pretty much saying, the hell with everything y'all do? I'm not going to send anybody to Capitol Hill. They're not going to testify. We're not going to go down. In fact, also now Bob Barr is now trying to get the Democrats to delay their contempt vote for him and Wilbur Ross, the Commerce Secretary.
Do I agree with what Pelosi is doing? No.
Why?
Because we're past the point where we can make political decisions and justify them in that ultimately down the road it will get us to the right thing. We're at the point where people who are brown and black and woman and man, and I mean horse, dog, cat, need to see that there are leaders whom, when we elect them, will do the right thing for the sake of it being the right thing, and will bear the brunt of the consequences for that, and will blaze a path forward from the right thing that is done. There's no doubt in my mind, I'm a supporter of Speaker Pelosi.
In hell, had Obama done 1/10 of what this man has done, that Republicans will go, nah, we're just going to take this thing slow. We're just going to slow walk it. That would not happen.
Yeah. Like we've talked about, and you alluded to it a few minutes ago, it's when you try to bring a knife to a gunfight, and that's what's so frustrating about the party that I love so much, which is the Democratic Party, is we forget that it's about, and I hate to say it, but it's about winning. You can't govern, you can't put your policy forward unless you win. Mm-hmm. There's nothing worse than a politician that wants to make a point but doesn't win.
I ran a great. It was like a bunch of, it was like, yeah, a bunch of people. Like so and so ran a great race. Yep, they lost. And I'm sorry. And when you talk about where we are, when you talk about these federal judges he's appointing, when you talk about these policies, when you talk about how he doesn't give a damn about the environment, he is overturning anything and everything. He was just, look, Elizabeth Warren just went off the other day on a guy who he nominated, I think, for high position, Raytheon executive. Mm-hmm. First of all, this guy was a lobbyist for Raytheon. Says to the committee, I will not recuse myself from any decisions dealing with Raytheon. She then said, would you not lobby 4 years after leaving. He's like, no, I ain't gonna do that either. But I ain't damn all that. I mean, it's like what he has done is he is literally putting evil folks in charge of everything, and then going, what y'all gonna do? And I'm sorry, you have to fight that, and you can't play this game of, oh, but if we play it safe, we got the election next year, you know what, we can beat them there. Okay, that is the plan, but you might not.
Yeah.
Then what?
And they could spend the next, it's July right now, August, September, October, November, December, January. It may take them a good 6, 8, 9 months to get through the impeachment process, maybe less than that. But along the way, they have these televised hearings, and the evidence, they're making their case really to the American public.
And that's the point of the hearings.
Exactly.
Monique, if you look at the polling number with Nixon, first of all, nobody wants to go through impeachment. It's not like, yeah, what the heck, we'll go through it.
Right. No.
This is not like in other countries where they'll switch a prime minister in the middle of a term like it's no big deal. In the Nixon administration, it was low 20s, maybe high 30s. Folks like impeach. But it wasn't until the daily hearings and witnesses and listening to what was done and going over it methodically where that number went up and up and up and up. And that's what led Howard Baker to make that slow walk up.
That long walk
up Pennsylvania Avenue.
That's
Said,
right.
It's time for you to go.
It's time.
It's time for you to go.
It's time.
Speaker
Why
Pelosi,
is that so hard?
Go ahead.
Speaker Pelosi is not referencing Nixon. She's referencing Clinton.
I understand that.
She's referencing something that is not just within all of our memory. It's something that's within her time of service.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem where I think she's dead wrong. I remember the Clinton deal. The Clinton deal came down to one thing. Y'all trying to impeach him over a blowjob? Just straight up.
Basically.
Sex?
That's what it came down to for a liberal.
No.
But the GOP, Roland.
No.
As we've said over and over again.
No.
What I'm saying is.
Let me finish.
Stand down.
Let me finish.
Please.
It came down to, it wasn't Whitewater and listening to what was done and going over it methodically where that number went up and up and up and up. And that's what led Howard Baker to make that slow walk up.
That long walk.
Up Pennsylvania Avenue.
That's
Said,
right.
It's time for you to go.
It's time.
It's time for you to go.
It's time.
Speaker
Why
Pelosi,
is that so hard?
Go ahead.
Speaker Pelosi is not referencing Nixon. She's referencing Clinton.
No, I understand that.
She's referencing something that is not just within all of our memory. It's something that's within her time of service.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem where I think she's dead wrong. I remember the Clinton deal. The Clinton deal came down to one thing. Y'all trying to impeach him over a blowjob? Just straight up.
Basically.
Sex?
That's what it came down to for a liberal.
No.
But the GOP, Roland.
No.
As we've said over and over again.
No.
What I'm saying is.
Let me finish.
Stand down.
Let me finish.
Please.
It came down to, it wasn't Whitewater and McDougal and whatever. It was like, wait a minute, hold up. Because if you listen to all, y'all are pretty much saying he lied about sex.
Yes.
That's what pretty much the American public heard.
That was it.
In this case, we ain't talking about sex. We're talking about Russians. We're talking about meetings. We're talking about lying. We're talking about destroying evidence. We're talking about a number of things that were in the Mueller report. 10 to 15 different examples. This ain't sex.
Okay.
I think people with Bill Clinton, so she's referencing Bill Clinton, but here's the other thing, the last point that you can respond. Bill Clinton was in his second term. Mm-hmm. Okay? This ain't the second term. This is the first term.
Yeah.
It was a whole different deal there. Go ahead.
But the reason why I said she's referencing Bill Clinton, and I didn't mean because it's like blowjob compared to treason. What I meant is it's popularity compared to popularity. And Bill Clinton was as popular a president as we had seen at modern times in those times, especially for the party of purity, which is what I don't even know when it happened, when the Democrats became the ones where you have to be like squeaky clean, goody two-shoes, can't say nothing wrong, can't do nothing wrong, can't think nothing wrong, or they'll put you out. Whereas on the GOP side, as the current president said, middle of a street in New York, shoot somebody dead, and he'll still be president. I believe he's right about it.
Oh, I do too.
I believe, I'm sorry, Scott, I'm not finished.
I do too.
I believe that his supporters will remain supporters. So what she is saying is, what will it take, because she's a numbers girl and I appreciate that, for me to get the numbers out of the Senate when the people who support this man, because you just said, what's the point in doing it unless we win? And I'm not saying, hold on. I'm not saying I don't support impeachment, because I do. I wish it had happened 15,000 trillion million day one when I was crying on my sofa when he won years ago. What I am saying is, she's saying, do we do it if we can't win?
But
You're saying, don't do other things unless we can win. She's saying, let's not do this unless we can win. And she knows we can't win.
But Scott, the point I made yesterday why I challenged DOJ to pursue charges against the cop who killed Eric Garner. The DOJ takes this position of, well, if we can't win, we're not going to pursue.
You challenged Bill Barr?
No, this is what I said. I said, because even I took it back 4 years ago when Sheila Jackson Lee said to me when I moderated the town hall of CBCF, she said, I would love to see the DOJ take some chances. Stop this notion that, well, if I can't win it or if I can't see it right now, I'm not even going to try. I'm saying in this case here, I believe that, first of all, his base is only about 35%.
Thank you.
That's
Nobody
first.
cares.
No. You said numbers.
Flaws.
You said numbers. I do believe.
I said numbers for the Senate vote.
No, but here's the deal, though.
Not
you
numbers
can't
for
even.
population.
But here's the deal. The reality is, first of all, you can't show me in the history where impeachment was even guaranteed. Impeachment is never guaranteed.
Right.
So there's no such thing as, oh, I'm definitely going to win over there, so let's go for it.
Right.
No.
But here's the deepest flaw.
In fact, but here's the piece, though. How many times in American history have we gone down impeachment?
Right.
3 times.
But what?
Hold on, no, wait. How many times?
3 times.
The first time, what happened? He wasn't convicted.
No, he wasn't.
The first time, which wasn't Nixon, it was Johnson, wasn't convicted.
No.
The second time,
He resigned.
he resigned.
Right.
Because he saw the
Third time,
wins.
Didn't work.
The third time
He wasn't convicted.
was the result of the same thing that happened with Johnson.
Wasn't convicted.
But the bottom line is...
We got zero chances of success.
But the bottom line is...
That doesn't matter. Here, look at the flaw.
Take the shot. But
Here's the
again,
flaw.
it does matter because with Clinton, there was no third term.
You don't.
You all really want to compare
saying,
Clinton's popularity to Trump's popularity.
No. What I'm saying is...
But there's no comparison. Trump is eminently more popular.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Oh, my
Yes.
goodness. Please let me jump
Yes,
in.
he is.
Let me
Go.
tell you. Let me tell you.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
He has never got
Yes,
more
he
than
is.
40% of the freaking vote,
And
let
that's
alone
why he's
whether
not
he's
supposed
approved.
to be president, right,
whether
Scott?
he's approved.
He wasn't supposed to win, was he?
He hasn't.
There
He
he is.
can't grow because he can't get above 40%.
Doesn't matter.
Those diehard Trump supporters are going to support him no matter what,
Yes,
right?
they will.
That's fine. Well, what does that have to do with whether you're going to impeach him or not, or whether his popularity will get him elected again, even if he underpolls? That doesn't make any sense. He was never as popular as Clinton was. So why is that even in the equation? And by the way, we promised America everything that Donald Trump was going to be, and he's kept those promises. He still hasn't grown, and that's why he's got to go. Hillary Clinton, which was a flawed candidate, only lost the presidential election in total by roughly 66,000 votes. When you tear away all the stuff in
3 states, about 77,000. Yeah.
77,000, right? Nothing's really changed in 2 or 3 years, other than we've lived with Trump confirming everything we promised America, right?
Do you see
all the
why I
Democrats?
call
Let me
it
just finish.
Puritan?
If all the Democrats just
you
get
will
a
never
decent
finish.
candidate together, right? Put him through the impeachment process when you're talking to independents, Democrats, and all of America, and he keeps talking out the side of his neck offensively the way he is, what do the Democrats have to be scared of except success?
If the Democrats, what you should be concerned about is if you send the signal you're not actually ready to go to war.
Right. You're voting against
Mike,
impeachment.
that's the easy piece right there, Mark.
They voted against impeachment.
Michael, they have to have people fired up enough who will believe that you're willing to go to war.
What do bullies do? What bullies do is they punk you until you step back and fight. And then that's what he's doing. He's
punch him back.
And right, what he's doing now is just punking everybody. He's punking his own party, punking his allies, punking people around the world, except for Putin, of course. And until we step up and say, and that's why I think the impeachment, that's the really only tool that's going to mean something. I mean, this little psych game he's playing, oh, I want to be impeached. No, he doesn't. Who wants to be impeached?
He's daring
No, nobody wants to go through that.
He's daring him.
Monique, so the question is, will Pelosi take the shot? Will she stand up to the bully?
Take the shot.
Will she do it?
Take the shot.
So the reason why I called it the Puritan Party is because of what Attorney Bolden just said. Even in the midst of all of this, where we're talking about this amoral jackass.
Well, you
Trump.
stop talking. She talking.
I was talking to Mike.
No, but
I can hear you.
But there's,
Go ahead,
but
Monique.
see, because there's no respect.
Well,
And
you
what
don't.
I'm trying to say is, Scott, that when he spoke of Trump, he still, when referencing Secretary Clinton, said which was a flawed candidate. That's what we have going on the liberal side. You have a literal one who flew over the cuckoo's nest nincompoop on the other side, and we are still calling Hillary Clinton, the most qualified person to ever run for the office in the history of people running for this office, a flawed candidate.
She was flawed.
Okay,
She was flawed.
She's flawed the way you're
I agree
flawed,
with you. She
I'm
was
flawed,
great,
we're
but
flawed.
she was a flawed candidate.
But the fact that in the United States of America, if you're liberal, you can't have any history. You can't have flaws. You can't have, I mean, the reason why that man is on the wall right now, they can't see it on screen, Barack Obama in all of his glory is on the wall, is because he could do 8 years with no scandal. I dare you to put
That's
3
great.
million
Just
other
put
black men in a room
decent
and find
candidate up.
one who could do it. You're talking
Stop.
Roland
The Democrats
fucking
are-
Scott.
But here's the piece. But Monique, hold on.
They're trying to be smart.
No, but
They're being smart. They're being
here's the
weak.
deal, though. I think sometimes
They're being weak.
I do believe that sometimes you can be so smart you're dumb. And I think there were many instances where Obama was very smart, but they got done with it.
And what did he do for black America?
But here's the deal, though. And the reason I'm saying that, because politics is a contact sport. And the reality is when you are facing an opponent who does not care,
Doesn't care.
who does not care about process,
Can't be
who
shamed.
does not care about morals or values,
Right.
who does not care. You're dealing with Mitch McConnell, who would stand there and tell Democrats when they were in control of the Senate, this thing should be done with process and decorum and things along those lines. And then when he becomes majority leader, he says, blue slip, don't care. Oh, the rule where I need both senators to agree, don't care. They even had one federal judge where the Republican senator in Wisconsin did not agree moving forward. He was like, don't give a damn. That person going
then
forward.
Why would you bloody yourself if you can't win? If
No,
you know, if you
bloody
know
yourself.
you've got a president who doesn't care, and you've got McConnell, who you know to me is the one man who really should not have all that power.
No, but here's the deal, though. But here's what you do. Here's why you do it.
Bloody yourself for what?
No. It's not even bloody yourself. You do it.
Oh, it's gonna be
No.
bloody.
You do it because you make it perfectly clear. You got the White House, and y'all control the Senate. What's the only thing that I do? I control the House. And so I'm going to take you through the ringer. I'm going to put the evidence in front of the American people. I'm going to have the hearings. I'm going to show everybody and see, and they don't want that.
Exactly.
Because what they don't, which is why it was a sham when Barr came out and gave his interpretation of the report, and all these idiots in the media said, he was cleared. As opposed to going, can we read it for ourselves?
Right.
And then when the report gets released, it's kind of like, that's kind of not what Bob Barr, that's not really what
Nothing like
happened.
he said.
So we may not want to reconsider. What I'm saying is, to your point, I can't take the bully down unless I throw a punch.
That's right.
But if I don't throw a punch, it's going to embolden him. Now, I see they finally decided to get some guts. Folks, just a moment ago, in the vote of 230 to 198, the House voted to hold Attorney General William Barr and Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross in criminal contempt of Congress for their refusals to turn over key documents tied to the 2020 census.
Let's go.
To me,
Now that's
let's go.
Huh?
Let's
that's
go.
useful.
Yeah.
That's immediate.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
all right. Okay.
enforceable.
For the person at home, what the hell does that mean?
It means that if they
Anybody in handcuffs, perp walk?
that's in the foreseeable future. It's not like
Not
if
with
you
a
start an
Republican U.S.
impeachment
Attorney's Office.
hearing. But that's the thing that I'm saying about DOJ challenge. DOJ challenge means Barr challenge. Anybody who expected that the Garner matter was going to turn out a different way, did they forget who the Attorney General is? I don't
Okay, but let's
understand
stay
what
on
we're
the
doing.
impeachment.
So hold on. Wait. No, hold up. No.
I need to hear what it is.
First of all, you said let's stay on impeachment. I'm talking about this here. Hold on. So now, as a result of this vote, now the committee can now take Barr and Ross to federal court.
Yes.
According to the New York Times, to seek judicial enforcement of subpoenas for the materials in questions. A lawsuit is expected in the coming weeks, and the administration has maintained it is on firm legal footing in its position. Also, what you have here, obviously, first of all,
No, he doesn't. Why would he?
No, I'm not saying he hasn't.
If
If
No,
he puts
that's
on the
my
defense,
point.
he
I said if he
certainly
did,
He has the
right.
Senate.
That's my point.
What does it matter?
Because the House prosecutor.
But that's my
Right.
He has
Okay.
the Senate.
No. Well, first of all,
Show up for what?
No. The House prosecutes. The Senate
Who's the
determines.
trial?
Right. But what I'm saying is the benefit of actual impeachment hearings for the people out there, of course, who hadn't read the Mueller report. What it does is by having those televised hearings, it causes people to pay attention.
Exactly.
And then it reveals the depths at which this person consistently lied, consistently made
up.
stuff up, and covered up, and you able to connect the dots.
What else do you think can get done for
That's
the
right.
American people while they're doing that?
Well,
Here's
I
the
tell
deal,
you what,
though.
that's a lot.
Hold on, nothing.
Answer.
By getting rid of
No,
I'm sorry.
I'll answer it. Nothing.
Nothing.
Else.
That's a
Okay,
lot.
thank you, Roland. No, Scott. No,
nothing.
that's a lot. Because here's the thing.
Nothing.
The real pressure for Speaker Pelosi, with Trump doing the fool with his I'm gonna wear my hood on Saturday morning thing, is it makes cooperation on any other subject untenable. Because what the hope is for the people who are trying to do business for the American people right now is jobs and infrastructure.
But here's the problem.
No.
How's that working
because
for you?
everything
How's that
they
going?
even
They're
haven't
not agreeing on
haven't had a chance.
But here's the
It's
problem.
July.
But here's-
He's saying no to everything.
They took power on January 2nd.
McConnell was
He
saying
doesn't
no to
have to
everything.
say
No,
it's not
hold
up to him to say yes
See,
or
you're
no.
like most
Here's why.
Democrats. You keep hoping
Here's why.
that God is going to deliver Republicans and Democrats,
I'm not
and they're
talking
going to
about
sing
prayer,
Kumbaya
Scott.
and move
I'm
America
really not.
forward.
I'm only really
Okay?
just trying to
It's
talk
not
without
gonna
being
happen.
interrupted. That's my
You got
only
no
goal for
choice now.
today's
You
show.
got to fight. You got no choice but to fight. And the Democrats need to start fighting now, or they're going to continue to get their butts kicked. And right now, the Republicans and McConnell and Trump are kicking their butts, and you keep trying to figure out a way to get around it. You got to go through it. You got to put your boxing gloves on, or draw whatever weapon you're going to have, and get out. There's nothing left. He can go. Tomorrow, he's going to tweet and start calling black women on the House side out of their names, B's, H's. What are we going to do? We're going to impeach him and not impeach him. What are we going to do? We're going to censure him again and say how awful it is. And then what if he starts using the N-word towards us? And the Republicans and the GOP say, well, he didn't really mean that like that. Well,
taken out
I
of
don't even know.
context.
Yeah, taken out of context, right? And then what are we going to say? We're going to censure him again. This president is not a president. He is not just a bully. He is a dictator who is supported by a GOP in a democracy that is completely being undermined. And the only way you can deal with this is to use force against force.
I believe
Democrats want to hold their fire.
I believe.
They keep threatening him.
And I fundamentally believe that what you don't want to put yourself in a position is to look up on the Wednesday after Election Day, November 2020, and then it's sort of like a coach who had 2 timeouts
Didn't use
and
them.
didn't use them.
Yes.
And you in the post-game news conference, and you talking to the news media. News media's like, why in the hell you ain't called timeout, dog? You had timeout. What were you thinking? And you're like, well, no, you didn't call timeout. That to me, I just believe when you're going up against a thug,
That's right.
you got to swing.
Let your hands go.
So let's see what happens.
And the
Final
question-
comment.
Let your hands go.
The question really is how you swing, because it's July, right?
Yes.
1919. I'm so
Yes,
sorry.
July 2019.
I'm sorry, I'm exhausting you, Scott. Here's the thing.
I am
with
too.
with my time out, what I would rather do is say, hey, out there, everyone who's going to see this, register to vote, because whether they start impeachment proceedings tomorrow or not, when it comes time to re-elect or to newly elect a president of the United States, this same fool is going to be in the White House. And what you need to do is go now and register so that you can make sure that the next president of the United States is not Donald J. Trump.
Here's the
now,
deal, Monique.
whether they start impeachment proceedings today, and I hope they do, because I don't like my cousin being called
Come around
a
to see it
slave
our
and an
way
imp and a
now.
Negro. It's not your way, and don't start with me right now. What I am saying is, no matter what they do, it's going to take a while. And the reason why we're in this position is because we didn't go out en masse and vote. I want to change that so we don't have to fight this fight again. And the next time we talk about this, we can be talking about people getting some jobs and some health care and black women not dying in Georgia of childbirth more than other people, and et cetera and so on.
And
things that really matter, not this.
I will end this.
No,
I will
I'm not
end
running.
this. I will end this segment this way. I said this on Tuesday about the important to register, mobilize, and organize. I still believe, though, while you are doing that, you still whoop his ass when you need to. Going to a break. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Back in a moment. YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. All right, folks, Roland Martin here. They are back. The folks with marijuanastock.org, of course. You might remember just a few months ago, of course, many of you had the opportunity to invest in their last crowdfunding campaign. They raised a ton of money in just a few months investing in legal marijuana farms. Those initial investors now own shares of a publicly traded company. Now they have a new investment opportunity that is as good, if not even better, than the last one. I'm talking about industrial hemp CBD. For those who don't know, the hemp plant is the cousin to marijuana with a much higher concentration of CBD, which means hemp CBD gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill changed all of that, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S., creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land to grow all of the plants, which makes for an incredible investment opportunity. And that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model, folks, is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed high-paying tenants. They are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action. You can invest in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200 up to $10,000. All right, for you to invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org to get in the game. Folks, in Philadelphia, the DA there, Larry Krasner, has asked the Pennsylvania Supreme Court to declare the death sentence unconstitutional. In his brief, is part of a broader push that started last August when lawyers representing death row prisoners Jermont Cox and Kevin Marinelli asked the state Supreme Court to weigh in on Pennsylvania's use of the death penalty. Scott, stop talking. Several organizations, including Juvenile Law Center, the ACLU of Pennsylvania, and the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, as well as murder victims' family members and former prosecutors and judges, filed amicus briefs in support of Cox and Marinelli. As part of the brief, Krasner's challenge includes new research into 155 death convictions that took place between 1978 and 2017 in Philadelphia. Philadelphia courts have sentenced more people to death than any other jurisdiction in the state, according to the brief, many of whom are people of color. Out of the 45 people currently on death row for Philadelphia, 37 are black and 4 are from other minority groups, according to the brief. All right, weigh in. So your mic's still on, so they can hear you talking.
I didn't realize that, but it's amicus brief.
It's a television
It's
show.
not amicus.
First of all, it's a television show.
Okay.
When you're mic'd up,
I got that
you're
right.
still being heard.
Use
So when you over here going
amicus.
wacka 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 wacka, the mics are on. You were talking, leaning back, talking to Monique, talking to Michael, like you ain't got a mic on. Monique, what do you make of Larry Krasner? First of all, the movie's also here. The Pennsylvania legislature stripped different powers from him. They don't like the fact that he's a progressive district attorney. Cops are not happy with him as well because he was a very strong defense attorney, often going after police departments. What do you make of him trying to get them to declare this unconstitutional?
Okay, and so first of all, this is a perfect example of when someone goes from the defense side of the aisle and switches to the prosecutorial ranks. We need that. We need somebody who understands what it's like to defend cases, who still understands the role of the state and the role of prosecutors. And obviously, I mean, I'm against the death penalty, so I believe that he's right about this. I believe that presidential candidate Kamala Harris was right about this when she was in his position and fought against death penalty and would not support the death penalty as something that the prosecutors were going for. That's what prosecutorial discretion is all about. I'm sure that Scott disagrees with me because Scott is not really a liberal. Scott just fronts as a liberal on certain issues, but we know he's a conservative.
Michael, your thoughts on what Larry Krasner is doing?
You gonna let her say that to me?
Let's wait. That's your job to respond. Michael?
I, too, am against death penalty, except in certain cases. But elections have consequences, and these kind of appointees, it depends on who wins elections and makes these appointees, and that's how decisions are made. So to your point, Roland, to your point, Mr. President, you got to get out, you got to mobilize, you got to register and vote, because you can't sit back the next day and wonder, oh, my goodness, what happened? And one last point about this whole getting out to vote. Everyone has a candidate in this primary. And if your candidate does not win, you cannot take your ball and go home.
Right.
You have to get behind the leader, assuming you're a Democrat.
That's right.
You have to get behind whoever that person is, because you can't say, oh, I'm going to take my ball and go home, because all that is a vote for 45.
Scott, you can now respond.
I don't like labels, because I look at issues, and like Democrats all look at issues. So on this particular issue, since I'm a former prosecutor and the only one on the panel, right?
Monique, were you a prosecutor?
Yes.
Oh, well, there are two of us. We're the only two on the panel then.
No, I'm just saying, but you were assuming you were the only one.
Well, I did not.
I want to read bio.
I know
Go ahead.
history, but
Go ahead.
But here's the deal. Obviously, I don't support the death penalty because of its disparate impact on people of color and my own community. Okay, that's the first thing. So, secondly, I do think that the legislature, who's tried to take his powers, they actually wanted them to share powers with the state's attorney general, and the state's attorney general has indicated that he's not going to usurp that power, even though the Senate and the House gave him that power. But this is happening in other parts of the country, too. There are like at least 4 or 5 other district attorneys of major urban centers who are taking this position against the death penalty. The reality...
Aaron Masayala, the first black state's attorney in Florida, of course, pissed off then Governor Rick Scott, who tried to, who said he was taking any death penalty case from her jurisdiction. And so, yeah, you have other places where they've done that. Go ahead.
This is an extraordinary measure by the DA to go directly to the Supreme Court. They've got to decide to take it up, and then they've got to rule on it, whether it's disproportionate impact. But the other thing that they're finding is that the lack of good legal counsel is a factor that has put people of color, poor people, on death row in several jurisdictions. In fact, the reason they've been delayed in not being executed has been because they've been winning these motions recently against for ineffective assistance of counsel. So that's all in the mix. But I think it's a good move. Watch to see whether the Supreme Court takes it up or not for the state of Pennsylvania.
All right, folks. New York became the second state to ban discrimination based on natural hairstyles after Governor Andrew Cuomo signed a bill Friday amending the state's human rights law. Of course, they followed California, which earlier this month became the first state to outlaw racial discrimination based on hairstyles such as braids, bantu knots, twists, and locks. The bill's provisions are effective immediately. The New York City Commission on Human Rights issued new guidance in February that banned discrimination on the basis of hair or hairstyle in workplaces, schools, and public places. This is when I was talking the other day about white fear, and I was talking about how in this country everything has been done through a white prism. This is a perfect example. Because I think back to when Black Enterprise, when Earl Graves mandated that you couldn't have locks, you couldn't have dreads if you worked at Black Enterprise. Because he said, look, this is what Wall Street, this is what corporate America wants, so therefore we're going to train you to conform to what they want. When the reality is that's a white standard. It's a white standard. Now, the problem is when all of a sudden it becomes, oh, you can't have facial hair, you can't have this. I think back to, I remember I was going back and forth with somebody that was this week talking about how there's no need for the EEOC. And that was a case where there was a black woman, more than qualified, applied for a job with the Veterans Administration in Virginia. Impeccable credentials. When she left the interview, they begin to meet, and a white male on the panel says, I just don't like her hair. Like, damn credentials. Forget all her work experience. Didn't like her hair. They didn't give her the job. She sued. She won back pay, won 70 grand as well. Cost those taxpayers because somebody said, I don't like your hair. And Monique, this is, again, I think what is happening, and this is why I keep talking about white fear. White norms, white standards are now being altered because you have more people of color in the workplace, in powerful positions, who are now saying, hell no. You got black women who are now on television wearing natural hair, when you had news directors for a long time saying, need a perm, did you get this stuff taken care of? And so when we talk about, as we move closer to becoming a nation majority of people of color, the view of what's right, what's proper is going to change because it's no longer going to be white is right and everybody else step back.
Can't wait to hear this.
You would be excited. I'm going to have a confession.
What? You've done it.
You need some water?
I feel like I do. I feel like I'm sort of kind of choking
I wish
up.
you'd heard her get it out. Because I only got 11 minutes left in the show.
Roland wants me to spit it out. Here's the thing. In the government sector, I believe that this is correct. In the private sector, I believe that people need to be able to hire people based on what is going to get a successful result for their client.
That's not what I said.
Whatever that is. But
But that is still a white standard.
Okay. And I'm not necessarily disagreeing, except when it's implemented by black folk.
No, but that's a white standard.
Yeah, but my standard is not necessarily a white standard. I just like it's just an
No,
I like
okay,
what I
all right.
like
So
standard.
no, hold up. So, but okay, so if you're black and you say, I'm sorry, you can't have locks. First of all, that came from someplace, Mike. That view of was not right, was not proper, came from somewhere. It's not just, I don't like that.
It's not just right or proper. It's, I'm going to send you in the room, and they're going to kick you out of the room before you have an opportunity to represent what you could do well, our business, our client,
right. but
whatever.
But the argument
it's not that I don't think it's right or wrong. But it's like I would send, God knows, I fight with Scott, but I would send Scott anywhere because I know that the way that he has this image put together, he can be in Dubai, he can go to Africa, he can go down the street to the government. If Scott is my attorney, I don't have any fears.
But
there are
Michael,
a lot of different things that could change about Scott that would make me be like, whoa, I just don't know if you're right for this right now.
But Michael,
federal court.
but again, Michael, but what I'm getting to again, I'm getting to what is a broader issue, a deeper issue in terms of what are white norms and values. So, for instance, in the television industry, and in the radio industry, for the longest, it was you needed the voice. It was the Midwest voice. The Midwest voice.
Not Southern,
the whole deal in television was
basic.
You needed the Midwest voice. And then when you would actually ask people, what the hell is the Midwest voice? Really? It was like, and what was the whole deal with Johnny Carson? We're playing to Peoria. Okay? What the hell is Peoria? What they were really saying was, we're playing to white people in the Midwest. I was in Dallas. This was the most KRLD radio. Jack Hines was a news director. Very deep voice, you know, that Midwest sound. So Jack called me to, let me repeat it. I was at KRLD radio in Dallas, in Texas. Jack Hines calls me in and tells me I need to go to a voice coach. He said, because I have a slight twang. I said,
good for him.
Jack, your ass ain't from here. I'm from here. Hell yeah, I sound like I'm from Texas. 'Cause damn it, we in Texas. Your ass don't sound like you from here. I said, I can guarantee you, everybody listen to what the hell I'm talking about. And it was sort of this, and again, that standard came, and that was a white standard. When you go on television, oh, watch your clothes. It's like, don't you wear dashiki. Okay, because, again, that's a white standard. It is. Because the real deal is, we ain't trying to scare white folks.
It's not just white, though.
But you're scaring them.
No, but hold on. But here's the deal,
Michael.
I hear what Monique is saying, but when we, first of all, the brilliance of white supremacy is not only has it told us what's good and what's bad. It's really from their perspective. And white folks have also bought into it as well. It's really a white standard.
So what if, in these kind of situations, we've had this on the show before, what if the standard was you cannot come to work with straight blonde hair and blue eyes?
It's a whole bunch of white folks who can't show up.
Can't show up.
Right, if that's the standard.
Because you're going to scare my client. You're going to scare my customer. Wouldn't that be an interesting world?
Hell yeah, it would. And if y'all want to see that,
You're acting like.
and if y'all want to see that, see that world, there's a movie called White Man's Burden, starring John Travolta and Harry Belafonte. I got the DVD. It's a hell of a movie where the whole deal was flipped, where white folks are broke and destitute, get the death penalty, and we in charge. One hell of a movie.
If y'all want to see that world, just walk into black-owned businesses.
No.
Don't act like it's fantasy time. We select people who look like us, who present like us. We prefer our own. Pan the room to find a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman.
But that's not the
We
issue.
do that, and we have a right to.
Can we talk?
What I am saying is that when you're in private industry, because you said, what if? And I'm saying, and so, because...
No. White standard.
I don't know. Listen.
It's a white standard.
Do
What
we
if it's
have
a professional
entrepreneurs on the
standard?
panel?
What if it's a
How
professional
many
standard?
of us
Define
have
professional.
hired
Okay.
blonde-haired,
Depends on the culture of the
blue-eyed,
organization.
thin women?
First of all, I've hired people. I've hired big people, thin people. I've hired black people,
We
white
weren't
people.
talking about
No, but I'm talking about. What I'm talking about
I'll
is
confess it, I
when
haven't.
we
black
talk
people.
about these norms and values, we are talking about white.
But it's
Standards
more complicated than
no, it's not.
It
It's
is.
real simple.
Especially in the private
Standards that have been devised and implemented
I
by
agree
white
with you,
people that
Scott.
we have accepted
Record me.
as the rule. And then what happens is when we come in and we change the rule, they're like, okay, what happened? Because somebody black came in and said, that's a stupid rule.
But it
Scott
doesn't
is a hiring
happen that
partner,
way, though.
and
I
agree with him.
But you know Scott got the white standards in his law firm.
Really? I
thought he was gonna say in his blood.
In the law firm. But let me add some real evidence.
How many lawyers at your law firm?
In D.C. or otherwise?
A total.
Total? 1,700.
1,700. How many black lawyers?
I don't know. I got 30% diversity in D.C.
You ain't answer my question. I ain't say diversity.
30%
How
of the
many black
100
lawyers?
I got 30% diversity in D.C., and that's 30 black or brown lawyers.
No, how many black? I ain't say brown.
Well, I don't know those numbers.
better.
But
I'm not done. I'm not done.
The only numbers
Okay,
that I know
how many black?
for DC,
Okay, how many
because
black?
I manage the
How many
market.
black partners?
In D.C., probably 6 or 7.
6 or 7. In history, how many y'all had?
I don't know that.
How old is the firm?
150 years old.
Guess what?
What?
You had 150 years of white. You had 150 years of white folks determining what the rules were. So when you came in, you had to learn their system, their rules, their norms,
You had to learn
their
their-
values, and
you had to
implement
learn
it
a culture.
in order to white culture.
For the firm and for our clients. Law firms are not a really good example of this.
Most of
You can
y'all
say what you wanna
clients
say.
white.
I don't know.
Hell yeah.
I don't see
Scott,
color.
I was with
I don't,
you.
Hell yeah.
I don't see color.
Scott, you're wrong.
You don't see color?
Back up. Stop. Just,
You better drink some damn water. You better drink some damn water. You better drink some damn water.
I don't know what
stepped in as his
color
lawyer. I was like, ooh,
Hey, I know my next segment. I know my next segment is called Crazy Ass White People. I got crazy ass black people right here, right now. Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead, play it. Play it.
I have something
play
to
it.
say about
Too
this
bad.
issue.
Too bad.
You never came to me. You went to her 3 times.
You'll be all right.
I don't like it.
You messed it up for yourself.
No, I did. I didn't mention it.
On my property.
Whoa! Hey!
I'm uncomfortable.
Hey, y'all. 22-year-old white woman who shot and killed a black man who drove away from the scene of an accident has been denied bond after a dramatic 911 call of the incident was played in court. In May, Kenneth Herring hit a truck and initially waited at the scene, but became disoriented and drove off. Could have been, concussion. Well, Hannah Payne called 911 claiming Herring was drunk and that she was going to follow him. Punk-ass Georgina Zimmerman. The dispatcher told her several times not to follow him, like they told George Zimmerman. Take a listen to the 911 call.
He is drunk. I'm sorry, I'm here to tell you I'm not going to follow him. Because he is going to cause another accident. Ma'am! Yes. Ma'am! He just pulled the trigger of my gun in my hand. Ma'am, you are not supposed to follow him.
Herring was believed to be having a medical emergency, and no drugs or alcohol were found in his system, according to toxicology reports. Okay, first of all, she told your dumb ass don't follow him, and then you go, man, he pulled the trigger on my gun. The only way, first of all, this man is dead. He's dead. Okay, she's sitting there. No, I'm telling you, these white folks have lost their minds with how they're operating. They lost their minds.
And while she may not have been right to have followed him and disobeyed an order, that's not criminal. Her defense in this case is going to be that she made a judgment decision in order to try to protect others. And so then there was a struggle for the gun. Whether he was drunk or not doesn't really matter. It's a real tragedy, but she's going to stay in jail. But watch for her defense. It's going to be a very difficult case to prosecute for the local prosecutors.
Michael.
I just think everything comes back to who's at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. How white folks feel they can treat black folks any old way. And they feel they can do it, and there are going to be no repercussions because he's treating the country any old way. So why can't I?
Thought that before.
Yeah.
Monique,
Monique,
what you have here, again, which is shameful. These white folks want vengeance. Dispatcher says, don't follow. Don't follow them. It's no difference when police departments have rules that say, police do not enter into car chases. When that cop goes, forget that, I'm chasing them. Don't shoot somebody in the back when they're running away, not harming you. Oh, no, I'm taking them down. That's really what we're dealing with here.
No, this was murder.
Absolutely.
And I don't call her crazy necessarily. Homicidal, yes. And this is where I disagree with you about white fear, because what I believe we see in instances like this is people who are in a controlling ruling class who are emboldened and have no fear.
Yep.
They don't have a fear of law enforcement. They don't have a fear of norms or standards. They don't have a fear of other people. This woman in particular believed that it was well within her rights and her power to chase down a person and pull out a weapon, and now, as Scott said, again, auditioning for the defense, that she's going to claim that she was concerned about public safety, and someone ended up.
But she's not a public safety officer.
Dead.
She's got a right to make a citizen's arrest or to save the lives of others, and she made that judgment call.
Yeah, okay, all right.
All right. I didn't say it was right. I don't
Throw
agree
her
with it,
ass
but it is
in
what it
prison.
is.
Throw her ass in prison, and I'm trying to tell y'all, all y'all white folks, listen to me who watch. And listen.
Well, how many is that?
When the dispatcher, more than Black Laws is your law firm.
No,
this is real simple.
I get, but not.
See,
When the dispatcher, right, you walk right into that one. So I don't know why you need to bring that back up with your 5 or 6 black lawyers. Here's the deal, y'all. I'm telling y'all right
Partners.
now.
A lot more.
I'm telling y'all right now.
It's in
Same
partners.
thing.
No, it is
Same
not.
thing. Let me tell y'all right now.
No, it is not.
Y'all need to learn how to listen to dispatchers and stop. And see, this is also what happens when y'all folks who want to have guns. Because here's the real deal. When you got that gun, you think you really emboldened. I don't care what anybody says. You act differently when you don't have a gun. I believe you act with some common sense when you don't have a gun. When you got a gun, you think, oh, yeah, I'm big and bad. That's the fundamental problem with all these crazy white folks who walking around with guns yelling Second Amendment. And this brother is dead because she's stupid. It was a car accident. A car can get fixed. A car can get repaired. This is a life taken. I hope they send her trifling behind to prison, and LaQuisha is her bunkmate for the next 50 to 75 years. And she got to look at somebody black every day. I have no sympathy for her at all. Real quick, folks, because I'm trying to make it real clear they black. Because if I said Becky, you know who the hell I was talking about. All right, real quick, Ava DuVernay's When They See Us came in with the most nominations for people of color, including a first-time nod for lead actor in limited series or movie for Jarrell Jerome's stunning turn as the real-life Corey Wise, the Netflix limited series. Other folks nominated, Niecy Nash, Angelou Ellis. Also, Billy Porter for his turn in the groundbreaking FX drama Pose. Mahershala Ali received a nomination for his role in the third installment of True Detective. And also, of course, Viola Davis for lead actress in a drama. Anthony Anderson for lead actor in a comedy. Don Cheadle, lead actor in a comedy. All right, folks, I got to go. Be sure to support Roland Martin Unfiltered, please, by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Please, all your dollars help to make this show possible. Please give. Scott hasn't, but it's no shock. And so, again, go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com to join our Bring the Funk fan club. I like your wife, not you. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I got to go. Politics and Prose. My girl Aisha Say is here. I'm moderating her conversation for her new book, okay? I'll see y'all tomorrow. Scott.
Holla.
Stay black. Holla.
Holla.
You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. Martin.